All right. Well, I'm here with Ella Darling on the set of the Sinn production. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah. Sinn mentioned that y'all have known each other for years. What has that relationship been like?
She's one of my favorite human beings in the entire world. Like, hands down. She's amazing. I mean, she's been there as my friend through so many life experiences. Like, we were just talking the other day. It's wild how much of my adult life I've spent as her friend. She's amazing. And we first met, I believe, on the set of Kink.com, a site where I think it was LiveDAS or I don't know, it doesn't matter. But it was really cool because this was my first time meeting her, and the shoot we did, she had like kidnapped me from a park and took me home to her basement and put me in an adult like life-size Barbie box. So like, it was just really bizarre and really funny, and it's one of my favorite. Like,
it's a hell of a meet cute.
Yeah, exactly. It was adorable.
Yeah. So how is it different working with somebody that you have such a important relationship with?
I mean, we just did that scene. It was a 15-minute clip. We shot for exactly 15 minutes, and that was it. We rolled through it. Like, I know her. She knows me. I know her. I know how to make her come. She knows definitely my body like crazy. And we both, we've been doing this for so long that it's just so easy to just run through a scene together. Whereas if it's someone new, it's, you kind of want to get to know each other a little bit. You don't know what the chemistry is going to be like, so sometimes you just have to like fake it till you make it.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just wonderful being able to spend time with her and also work. It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. So is it tricky then to walk on the set where you don't know anybody and everything is kind of new and to just feel comfortable, or is it something that you're able to just sort of turn on?
Definitely just turn it on. I mean, this is my job, so that's part of the job. That's part of being a professional. But it's not really that hard. I mean, I can find something I like about pretty much any person, and especially if they're in this industry, they're probably pretty attractive in the first place. So that's kind of
fair to say. All right.
But yeah, and no matter what, even if I don't know the person I'm working with, I already know that we have a lot of things in common. We're both sex workers. We both experience the world as sex workers, and the cool parts about that and the really shitty parts about that. So there's always something we can bond with,
Sure. Well, I mean, every workplace has coworkers that are difficult to navigate and to negotiate with. How does that show up when you're trying to have sex with somebody?
I mean, when you're doing this scene, basically, I haven't really had a situation where I have to do a scene with someone that I just genuinely don't like. Because if I don't like someone,
personality's not really on display in the same way?
Yeah, exactly. And if nothing else, I just sort of like fall into the character of Ella Darling and just sort of like, act my way through it. But that's so rare. I couldn't even think of a situation off the top of my head that even fits that. It's pretty easy. It's really fun,
Yeah. Well, talk to me about that character and how that's maybe distinct or maybe a different headspace than your day to day.
So it's kind of, Ella Darling is basically just aspects of my, authentic personality.
Sure.
I sort of like amp up a little bit. And when I first started, doing porn, I was pretty shy. I was a librarian before I got into porn. And so basically I crafted this persona in my head that like, I might feel nervous. I might, be like shy and socially anxious, but Ella Darling is not.
You're Sasha Fierce.
Exactly. And it's like that. So I don't know, it's pretty good. But it's interesting what you said about, everybody, every job, every workplace has coworkers that you don't necessarily jive with, right? Every job has, sometimes you have a shitty day at work. Sometimes you come home and it's just like, man, today kind of sucked, I can't really talk like that. Like if I go on Twitter and I talk about like a really bad day I had on set, there are whole organizations of evangelical people who use my tweets against me, use my words against me to vilify the industry. And it's like, just let me have a shitty day at work sometimes. Like, it's just my job, I shouldn't have to performatively be like over the top, always, singing the praises of things. Like some days kind of suck and that's okay. That's life,
Yeah, even as you were talking about sort of playing a character, I could see how people would jump on that when at the same time, I feel like every job has some level of customer service voice. This is your phone voice. I mean, as a therapist, I am allowed to have bad days, but I definitely know that I am putting on a veneer when I sit down and am across the table from somebody.
Yeah, I mean, every relationship that you have, you interact with people in a slightly different way. The
Sure.
way that I talk to my mom isn't the way that I talk to Sinn, isn't the way that I talk to my partner, isn't the way that, I talk to someone on set. It's all different. I mean, everybody has these facades that they sort of code switch between, depending on the situation.
Yeah. Well, when you're here on set, are there things that sort of help to, I don't know, get the energy right, to get the mood right? I mean, do you ever play music on set, or do you set the lighting in a particular way? I mean, obviously there's the stage aspect of it, but how do you kind of get in the zone?
I just sort of chill out, and I'm like you saw me earlier, I was just sitting very quietly on my phone.
Sure.
Because that just sort of saves up some of my emotional energy, so that when the camera comes on, I can just turn on and be excited. But also when I'm working with someone who's one of my best friends, it's not hard to
Right,
do that.
a little easier, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, sometimes we play music. Sometimes we just talk and shoot the shit. And I mean, most of the time, I don't really perform that much anymore. I perform only for my friends like Sinn, that kind of retired in 2016. But one of the things I really liked was that I would go to set, and even if I didn't know the person I was working with, I definitely knew several of the people who were there, because they're all my, people I've had sex with, people I've worked with, my friends, whatever. So it's like you're going to work, and you never know which of your friends you haven't seen in a while you're going to be able to hang out with and catch up with, and that sort of energy always really helped me get enthusiastic about the day.
Yeah. Well, and just that community nature. I mean, so often, whether we're talking about kink or there are just so many very niche, specialized communities where people sort of circle the wagons and come close to each other. And that's why I always am just baffled by these narratives about how rampant trafficking is, or some of these other things, because I can't help but feel like people would notice.
Yeah, if I'm on set and there is a performer who clearly doesn't want to be there, and if hypothetically, I've not experienced this,
right.
But if there was someone there who really didn't want to be there and they weren't happy, first of all, they'd probably be sent home, because the energy you're going to bring on camera is going to be really bad. I don't want to have sex with someone who doesn't want to be there and have sex with me. That feels predatory, and that
Sure.
feels gross, and we're not going to have good chemistry, and it's not going to be good content. Nobody wants this. So yeah, also, I chose this work. I mean, if you wonder if I'm being trafficked, ask me.
Yeah, fair to say.
I'm good, I'm cool. I don't know, there's also, these sort of, these ideas that we're here because we have no other choice, or because we're all addicts, or, what have you. And that's so incredibly not the case. Most adult film performers I know have come into it from a different career where they were doing fine. They could have stuck with that career, but they chose this because it offers you a lot of freedom. It offers you a much more flexible work schedule. A lot of performers I know who primarily do webcam stuff and OnlyFans, they choose that because they have immune disorders that make it really hard for them to, work in traditional career paths. And so it's something that is very empowering if you're, if you have a chronic illness like that.
I really wish we had better statistics, and that there weren't so many barriers against sex workers talking about their work, because as a therapist, I get these little portholes into the lives of people, and I have met so many people who are sex workers specifically because of exactly what you're talking about, the opportunity to be flexible and to be your own boss when you might not be able to function well in a traditional 40-hour-a-week, get sick for more than 7 days and you're out on your ass kind of job.
Yeah, absolutely. Several years ago in California, there was a proposition on the ballot that basically would have really, really been incredibly harmful and dangerous for adult film performers. And in the year or so before that, I went to California OSHA meetings pretty much every month, spoke to legislators, just did as much work as I could in that situation. And the group that was trying to force this bill had a sheet where they had printed out tweets from adult film performers, just kind of saying today was kind of rough. And they were using these people's words against them to try to pass a law that would have put them in danger and would have been very harmful for them. And that's the kind
taking
of
their cherry-picked tweets over the actual things that folks are saying.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just really, I don't know, it was really infuriating. just silencing me by using, some small aside I said like 2 months ago to try to pass a law that would put my life in danger. That is insane.
Yeah, how do you feel about the advocacy work in this industry and, maybe even the obligation that you kind of have towards it just in order to keep things going?
I'm a big fan of the advocacy that I've done. I used to be on the board, I used to be the president, I think, of the Adult Performer Advocacy Committee, which is a group of adult film performers who, some of the things we did was just sort of have seminars every month on, finances or managing relationships, managing stress, stuff like that. But, a lot of it was during the, back in 2016 when that proposition was, going on, and bonding with other performers, not through having sex, but through, the shared passion for our community and standing up together as one, united front. That was really empowering for me. But that's actually, I just said that it was empowering, and it was. One of the things I really dislike is that people sort of insist that my work is empowering. And it is, I guess, but it's my job.
It is for some people, and maybe even for you, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's like they need me to say that so that they feel like they have permission to watch the content. Whereas, you wouldn't ask your barista, do you feel empowered making my coffee today?
Yeah.
It's their job, and you treat it like a job. But when it comes to my job, it has to be couched in this sort of female empowerment, which it can be, but also it is.
No, I worked in restaurants with a lot of high schoolers, and I can absolutely say that I saw a number of 16, 17, 18-year-olds find their voice by being forced over and over again to have these customer service interactions, and great for them. But also, that doesn't have to be the narrative just because you're working behind a coffee shop counter.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like there is all kinds of pressure on you to be exactly the right type of person from both the people who hate what you're doing and from the people who want to promote it?
I don't really feel the pressure. I can recognize sort of the dialogue that is at play, but I don't really feel pressured by it. I acknowledge it, but
sure.
I don't know. I have plenty of other problems to give a shit about.
Yeah, fair enough. Does it feel like this job can kind of take over your life, not because of the hours or because of the work itself, but just because it brands you in a way socially?
Definitely socially, but also in a lot of other ways. There are, if PayPal finds out that I was to receive any sort of payment for sex work, they would freeze my funds. I probably wouldn't be able to access them, and in some cases even tell the person's bank that they are a sex worker, and then you can have your entire bank account frozen.
Wow.
It's really scary. There's so much discrimination. We're not a protected class, so you can fire me, you can refuse to rent to me, you can do anything because I'm a sex worker. But yeah, that's definitely a big part of it.
Sure. Well, is there anything in particular that you would like for the audience watching tonight to know about how they can be part of the solution here?
Pay for your porn, first of all. If you watch porn and you're a consumer of it, maybe understand that the people you're watching are working and they're actual, authentic, whole people. So when you speak to us and you engage with us as fans, for example, remember that you're talking to a person, not a fuck doll. I'm a whole human being over here. And I don't know, just support sex work and destigmatize porn, sexuality, everything surrounding it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for talking to us and for just allowing us to be here and see everything that y'all do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for the work that you're doing in this right now. It's really great.
I appreciate that.